Recording! Okay. I'm gonna just do one of these little vloggy things for my swords! Okay. So this is the first one that I started with. It doesn't have any distal taper on it, but it's actually quite thick right at the tip. I don't know why I did that, but, well, I do know why I did that. Because it was just completely, the blade is just cut out in profile and then just used a belt sander, so it's not really, yeah, the central ridge is not very good. Like, it even goes, like, from here, and then goes, like to right here. So it's, like, all the way off, and then it goes back. This is maple, I think. I mean, it kind of looks like hickory, honestly, but I think it was maple, and, yeah. And this was hickory with walnut. That was a bow that broke, and I've got, actually all the wooden swords use that, and it's a full tang, and it's just glued on there really well with hot glue too. And then I kind of like the look of the bound crossguard, and then just a big scrap piece of leather that I got at a saddlery shop, and then a big long bolt for the pommel. And it's like, I mean, it's very light, but it's still, you know, a good realistic balance-ish. So this one, I really like this one. Just like an arming sword, basically. It's not very long. It looks a lot bigger in the camera, but it's actually quite short. I'm gonna compare this to my most recent real sword. I really like these ones, and I made these for, at least in my mind, I was going to make it for like a gun show, but of course that never happened. So pairing a pair of them, and these are all done in the same way that a real sword is constructed, because I kind of wanted, this is when I was starting to kind of get it in my head, like, that I could do this, you know. So I figured that I could make these, and I kind of wanted to make some wasters, and these were supposed to be kind of like wasters, because it does have, like, these were basically just a straight board, and then I would take the belt sander and just remove the tips, the edge. So the edge, there's actually like a very, very rough edge, and I think I cut these in with the table saw, and then I just removed them. So then in blade on blade contact, it's just has a little bit of an edge, so that hopefully it will kind of grab the other sword. But then all the way back here, since you're not really going to be striking down here, then it's just a little bit more aggressive. Over here it's more blunt, although actually it does have some edge right on the square tip. But I mean, it's supposed to be a waster, and I was just pretty happily with of course this is the hickory walnut again, but I actually hollowed out the crossguard, and I think what I did was I just drilled holes and then used a chisel, and it was pretty loose, so of course I glued it again. Used hot glue to really, well, I used wood glue and then filled the gaps with hot glue. Turns out, like, it looks pretty good, and I've never actually wrapped the handle with anything to kind of preserve the leather, but it's kind of nice to have just like a suede kind of grip. And these grip is still a little bit long, but of course it's meant to be for like practice or something. But anyway, I made them identical, which is something I'm not very good at. But since I was just running them through the table saw and then just kind of just doing the belt sander a little bit, it wasn't that bad. The pommels are a little bit different, but this one, this one, it used to say Chicago, USA on the thing, so I was like, no, like, I'm not going to have a medieval sword that says Chicago on it, so I ground it off, and since I wanted the rusty look, because it's, you know, it kind of matches the handle, and then steel doesn't really, what I did was, I put a rusting patina on it with copper sulfate, and that worked. It looks completely roasted now, so it's, and just grounded off the leathers and just copper sulfate, and you know, a few days later it's just completely rusted over. So yeah, really good, and I just like these. I just wish that I could have fucking sold them at some point, but then COVID hit. So wooden swords, I love them. I love them. Okay, and then after I think actually this might have been the second one, and those might have been the third, but this was my like big ass, ridiculously huge handle, but I just kind of like it because, oh, my feather is in the car, so I can't show it, but I just, when I first got a feather, I was like, wow, this handle is really long, and I really like it. Nowadays, I think I'd like to try like the Italian style of like holding just a little bit back from the crossguard and then kind of shorting the grip with a long pommel. I just like to try and see how that kind of goes. But this one is maple, for sure. And I did add a little bit of distal taper on this one, so it gets a little bit thinner at the end. But of course, I'm always very impatient, so the distal taper actually just goes on one side and not on the other, but it doesn't really. I mean, you'd have to, yeah, so it kind of just bends like this way, but it doesn't bend, it just kind of looks like it, but it's not that bad. And I could totally, I mean, it's just wood, so I could just put it in on the other side too if I really wanted to, and then I just rounded over the corners, and that was it. I think if I were to make another one just like this, of course, it would be a little bit thicker, because that is how thin it is, you know, so if I put in any amount of force on hitting anything, it's not a lot of wood there, and literally about half of the length of the handle would probably be a good idea, but it's, you know, it's like a fairly medium-sized two-handed sword, so it's pretty huge. Pretty huge! But this is like the last wooden sword that I did. And then I was like, I can do it! I can make a real sword! And I had a just big, this is still sharp, and kind of weird that it's so sharp. This sword has cut me so many times, and this is, I'm pretty sure it's like a low carbon steel, but it does still flex a little bit. Oh, I forgot how fucking massive this thing is. But this one is... what happened here? So, yeah, I was like, for my first sword, I'm gonna make, like, the sword that I really wanted. And the sword that I wanted was a flamberge, which is flame blade. And that's why it has these serrations on it. So it was a half flamberge with just a straight fit up here, and I didn't even sharpen the actual flamberge. But I did sharpen the point of percussion, and you know, this thing is it's fun, but it's real bad. Like it bends this way a little bit, and I think it twists like a corkscrew a little bit too. But yeah. It actually, I mean, I'm standing by a garbage can, and one day I just kind of, and it cut all the way down to the bottom. This thing's still fucking, I don't know why, it's just fucking kind of gnarly, this big sword. Oh, it's not a very big sword, actually. It's more like an arming sword, but it's a little bit heavy. Like, this is maybe like 3.5 or 4 pounds, which is kind of ridiculous for an arming sword. But yeah, the crossguard is made out of rebar. And I got glue in there to make sure it doesn't like move, and then actually the crossguard is a little bit sharp on the end there. I can't remember what the wood is, but the bottom, the pommel is. I haven't taken this off for a long time. Ooh, wow. So that's funny. I think like the thread actually like grabs like only a few times around. So I've got this entire thing just completely threaded that basically does nothing, but it does. Yeah, it's on there. So it's just a piece of bolt, big bolt that was like this big, and then I just chopped it off, and that was dumb. And it took a fucking age to drill through this thing, because at this point I really wasn't even thinking about like hardness of steel or like the composition of the steel. So it just took, I mean, I was probably drilling through this bolt for like an hour, half an hour, or 45 minutes. Like, it took a long ass time. So I didn't anneal it or anything, but this ridiculous sword is basically was just cold forged. Because the forge that I had was, I can see it outside. It's in the link to. It was basically just a charcoal forge, but I was also throwing in like wood and stuff too. So I kind of like had like wood around it and then charcoal in the middle, and it was just a forced air forge, which I had a hair dryer hooked through the ash dump basically. So you'd open the bottom and the ash would fall out, but I was just like, nope, that's where the air's going in now. So yeah, and I just couldn't get it hot enough. Like, when I got it out of the forge, my dad came and looked to see what I was working on, and he thought it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun, but like, I would take it out of the air, out of the forge, put it onto the anvil, and it was already black. Not even like a dull red heat or anything. So this entire thing, and this too, was just like cold forged. And yeah, that was exhausting. And very, very inefficient. But this was the first sword. Yeah. Okay, so after that one, then I made like a short sword that was maybe like this long, and I gave that that one was definitely mild steel. This might have been just like a low carbon steel, but the sword that I gave Makana is definitely mild steel. And I did try to heat treat it, but it's definitely mild steel. This one, like, just by how many times that this thing has cut me, pretty sure that's a low carbon, but it's not quite mild steel, so. Right. And then, oh, let me go back. About, let's see, 12, 9, so maybe 14 years ago, maybe. My brother thought katanas were really cool, so he would say, yeah, katanas are like the best sword ever. So I made a katana when I was little, and it's, you know, really small grip, but when I was a kid, like, that was like a two-handed grip, basically, you know. This is just mild steel, for sure. And I didn't understand I didn't know anything about sword constructions, and this was, when I made this, was basically like the advent of the internet, so there was not really a lot of sources or things to go off of, so I just kind of like knew what a katana looked like and just made this one. Of course, I didn't know, like, this is still like wrong because they didn't have a pommel. I didn't, like, these things are still sharp. You don't really want to touch these. And this is very, very uncomfortable. I cracked the grip when I was putting on, so I still do that. And I had so this was, like, I really didn't know what I was doing, honestly, but I did have a piece of, I think it was like a bookmark. So you, like, you know those bookmarks that have like a tassel? I had like a red tassel on the back. No, what it was it was yarn, and then I made the tassel just out of yarn. So, like, would split the threads and then just like had it like out. But I had like a red tassel at the bottom, and it's actually a welded tang right at the top here. So. And you can see it crack right here because I really, like, this thing, when I was a kid, this thing was fucking heavy. But now it's just unwieldy. But, so I wasn't really swinging around, but I would throw it into a hay bale, so I would like this and like throw it like a spear for some reason. Just what I wanted to do. And yeah, so this was my actual first sword when I was 14. Notice that it's completely blunt. There's no distal tape or anything. It's actually bent from swinging it around. And I cracked the weld to the tang. I didn't know what I was doing, but anyhow, it's kind of fun. I kept that in into the chop closet, so that's why I still have it. I didn't take it with me to Missoula, but I had it. And here's my second sword that I made very shortly after. Maybe when I was like a junior or senior when I was in high school, and I was going to make this for my friend Eric Roussel. I said, I'm going to make you a sword for graduation, and then I never actually finished it, so. But it looks just about the same when I found it. I was actually, the rust is new because it's more humid out here than it is inside. It's so dry in there, so. But I know I still have it, but I did not know how swords were constructed, so I was going to weld the crossguard on here and then weld the tang on, and I don't even know if I knew what a pommel was, so so I do have the crossguard. I think it's out in the scrap steel stuff, so anyhow, this was going to be like a little short sword, but just never did it. And I think maybe if I get better at like steelworking and stuff, then I'll make this into another sword. So that would be kind of cool. So, second sword that I ever made. Well, I didn't actually make it because it never finished. Okay. Ugh. These fucking swords. Why do I have so many swords? Why do I have so many weapons? Oh my god. Okay. And then, oh, this is the one. This is the one that I made. Oh, this one was... No, this is the one that came next. So this was made last year. Stroke sword. This one's 5160, has a wide fuller on it, and in this, I really, I still wish that I just didn't fuck it up, because I still like this sword. It's actually not that bad. It's like 4.5? 4.5 inches for like, this is a two-handed sword. Like, this thing is big. It is actually quite big. Let me... Yeah, so here's the wooden one. And this thing is just like pretty freaking big. But so this one finally I put in a distilled taper. This one goes from about 6 millimeters to 1 at the bottom. So I think I did 6 to 3 right here, and then it just tapered all the way down to the tip. And so the rust is a new thing because I have a humidifier in here. But I kind of like the look of it, honestly. In the brass, since there's no like coat or anything on it, like the rust is actually kind of filling in the spots that I missed on the brass, so that's kind of cool. And this one is 5160. Please don't break. Yes. So yes, I like this one quite a bit. The thing is that when I made like maybe like 5 or 6 different sword kilns, I guess, or sword forges, so that I could heat treat it and I could get the entire blade hot. And that is quite the challenge. If you want to get something like up to like 1600 degrees or something, something this long is very hard. So in the end, I did. Oh, actually, I'm missing a sword. I forgot. What was saying? Yeah. So I had to get the entire thing hot enough, and I finally got it. But then so I have it like flat inside the oven, and then I put it on its edge and pull it out, and then like this, right? So the thing is that right then when I put it on the edge and I pulled it out, I'm not sure if well, so you can see that it's, I don't know if you can or not, but it's, there we go. It's actually like sabered. Sabered pretty good for like this would be like a great saber or something, like a messer, but that would have been kind of interesting. Yeah, so either I like pulled it out and the tip sagged, or I was like this. I think this is more likely, and I was trying to keep it up, and then I like pushed it up like this, so that's why it's a big saber. So it worked. It has a spring temper, but I did not thermal cycle this sword at all. So eventually, when I was really drunk actually, and I was just swinging this thing out, and I hit a board, and it broke right at the tang. So, I mean, this would have been if I was actually like sparring or something with somebody with this, that would be very, very dangerous. It's not sharp per se, but it is sharp on some little bits, but it is it hasn't like an edge on it, but it's not actually sharp. It's not sharp at the crossguard either, so I just wish that the blade was straight and it didn't fucking break, and I would be so happy with this thing. But of course, the tang, I could take it apart, but it's a pain in the ass, honestly. But the tang actually goes like a little bit crooked. Like it starts like maybe right over here, and then it goes down. So I'm not sure how the fuck I did. I was probably just fucking tired as fuck because I was working on this thing every day for a week. So the tang was very crooked, and since I was trying to kind of nudge the tang over a little bit, I actually made it quite a bit thinner than it should have been. So I think it's like a big part of why it broke at the tang. But yeah, so this one was my first real sword, I guess. Like it has got everything on it. Like it's got a heat treatment. It's very good point of balance, and it has distal taper and everything, except that I fucked up on a few things. But of course, that's just how it goes. I really liked the huge fuller. That's pretty cool. This one actually came after this one, but it's ugly. So I just had some different pieces of scrap steel lying around. This is rebar again. This is a pommel made of a bolt, and it looks like it's been through hell and back, and that's because I threw it into a fire. Just because it was so ugly, I was like, well, what if I just like antique it a little bit? That would kind of be a little better. Very, very light and useless, but it was just something. I was like, I'm gonna do another one for like practice. I can't even remember why the blade is so fucked up. I don't really remember what I did, but I think I just like used an angle grinder and just like I don't know what it did, but the blade is so fucked up. Like, yeah. Anyhow, so I made this after that one just because I just wanted to make another one, but like low effort, low commitment. And that was this one was. So that, and then this one went all the way to New Orleans with me. So this is like a poor finished product. This one is named Glint. Has a brass coating with a clear coat, so that's why it looks still like brass. And I never really, I sharpened it, but not like really well. But I never really polished the blade enough. Like it's like less than satin. So I could do that, but when I put the fuller in, I made a fucking mess out of it, so. And it needed a fuller. Like it's supposed to be like a thrusting sword. That's why it's like a diamond cross section, and the distal taper is not anywhere near as aggressive as the other sword. So this one is very stiff. But yeah, I just really like this one for what it is. It's not my favorite sword, honestly, but I did it, and it was, I don't know, it was like the most effort that I put into any of them yet. I didn't make this one. Oops. This one is, it's like a Dapika. I didn't make it, but the fucking blade on this thing was just like, I wonder where it's at now, but yeah, quite a bit better. But when I got this thing, like the point of balance was like way up here, and I was like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, oh my god, it's just a big old bar of steel. So that's why the blade is so fucked up on it. But I removed quite a bit of stock on this thing, and when I got it for $100, and the blade is not straight, and that's why it was $100. So I kind of eventually I really like to heat treat the blade after I like redo it. So just take everything off and get it straight, and then heat treat it, and then I'll have another sword. Like this one is fine, but it's just having like a blade that's like true bent. It's just super irritating to even look at. Like, no, I can't do it. Nope, not gonna do it. So just need to kind of work on it, I guess. Yeah. Look at that huge gap in there. Better than I can do, but still. Yeah, so this one is more like a project sword for $100. Like, I think they retail for $200. And I'm glad that I got this one on sale because it's not worth $200. Like the grip and everything. Think about this. So, oops. The grip looks pretty, but it's not really even well. It's not glued on there or anything. It's just wrapped around a piece of wood, and it's just, you know, and yeah, the detail on this is clearly just like a cut-off disc, which is something I would do, and I think I will do it in the future. But it's basically just like make 2 lines here with a cut-off disc, and that's how they do it. So I saw somebody else who have this same sword like full price, and the crossguard just broke like right here. So stupid. And it had like a big wood thing right here, and then it was wrapped with the same color of leather, and I was like, why would anybody do that? Like, I thought it was just like a rain guard, but no, it's like a big piece of wood that's like stuck on there. So I was like, no, I like to have, like, the blade is like the most pretty part. So so I removed that, and then I removed a bunch of paint on it, and when I did that, then it doesn't fit into the scabbard anymore. So that was dumb, but yeah, so it's a project sword. Just something to have for $100. I was hoping that it would be more like true to historical examples, but I should have I didn't know, so I can't blame myself. Yeah, let's see here. I'm just comparing these. Is there anything interesting to say? Not really a lot. And this one is one that I'm working on, but... So this one was a big piece of 5160, maybe about this tall or so. When I... This was like the end cut of this sword here. I can show you. So this one was just like stock removal. So this sword basically was like this. It was like this, cut out of the stock, except that this is wider, naturally, because I'm actually forging this one. So this one, I don't know if it's gonna make it, because when I was making this one, of course, I was cold working this steel here, and it's looking pretty rough. So I'm gonna have to do like a lot of thermal cycles on this to even hope that it doesn't break. It's a lot thicker than that the stock removal one, so that's good. I think the tang probably won't break, but I think the weakness part will be right here. Because I was like, alright, just like let me just throw it in the bevels. I didn't like draw the stock out or anything. I just was throwing in the bevels and right there. So, so right here it's just thin on like one side. So I don't know. I think if I can just get this thing straight, I think I can just just widen out the blade just a little bit with some bevels, and then it'll be good to go. So this one, I'm feeling pretty spooky about this one, but it's 5160, which actually is a lot scarier than mild steel, because it's going to break. But anyhow, so this one is just a little bit, the blade is about 2 inches shorter than the big 5161. The red one, this is probably a good like 3 or 4 inches longer than the red one. So right, so that's the entire collection here. I don't think I have any other ones. That was about, I don't know. Not something I did full time, of course, because then I think maybe the two 5160 ones, I put it in like a good week or so, week and a half for both of them. The red one went all the way down to New Orleans with me. Yeah, and the other one, so I don't know. This is probably like a good 2 or 3 months of work. Yeah, so I made this yesterday, which I should not leave strung all day, but just looking at it. The tiller is not perfect at all. So you're right here, it's a little bit high stress. But for like a good I don't know, hour and a half of just whipping this thing out. This is ash with hickory on the back. Have not put any finish on it or anything. I kind of wanted to just look at it today and make sure that it doesn't have like a really bad hinge or anything. And it looks like it'll shoot. A short bow, I don't know, like it's quite a bit shorter than my other ones. I'm going to say like it's maybe 45 inches or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to show it off because I made this yesterday and it's pretty fucking cold, so I don't really want to shoot. So maybe I'll just put in a serving on this and call it a day. Yep. Okay, so I don't really have anything else to say. Okay, bye-bye.